Hello, welcome to Catex TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Thursday, July 21st, 2011. And some of our headline news before we get to our main reinsurance news. The heat wave in the United States is continuing. The East Coast today is going to begin to get the first mega effects of the super Midwestern heat. Temperatures here in the New York area are expected to reach 100 degrees today, even hotter tomorrow. The U.S. jobless rate actually increased a little bit. About 18,000 claims higher than expected came through today, were announced by the Labor Department. That will no doubt put a bit of a damper on the stock market. Also, as we speak to you today in Brussels in Belgium, the EU leaders are meeting, trying to decide once again what to do about Greece. There is news coming out now that President Sarkozy and Chancellor Merkel have come to an agreement to allow some selective defaults of Greek debt in order to give the EU time to work out a better resolution. It sounds suspiciously like what may be happening in Washington, as the two parties seem to be farther and farther away from an agreement. And in the United States, it's possible that the National Football League strike might be over. That would be the NFL. So strike insurance probably will not kick in. It's expected that the owners of the teams will ratify the agreement today, and over the next few days the players will. So we'll see what happens with that. Meanwhile, in reinsurance news, one of Australia's biggest insurers, Suncorp, has indicated that the Christchurch earthquake toll has increased by 500 million Australian dollars up to 2.1 billion Australian. This is being reported by the Insurance Insider. The Insider reported last month that Suncorp had increased its loss estimate up to 1.6 billion, so now it's up to 2.1 billion. Suncorp also on July 1st purchased some reinsurance, 5.35 billion Australian cover in excess of a $250 million retention level. That CAT program was priced up by an average of 70%, although some people are saying that the lower levels were up as high as 85% increases. That same source said that the top layer of the program, even at the top layer, saw an increase of 65%. News that the loss from February's quake is again set to escalate is only going to dismay reinsurers, particularly in light of the repeated losses to the lower layers of Suncorp's CAT cover. News of these losses come in line with the growing belief that the impact of that February aftershock, February 22nd, the Christchurch aftershock, will be worse than initially expected. Initial estimates suggested insured losses of up to 10 billion. Now sources are saying they could be as high as 16 billion. Just as an aside note, Lord Levine, the outgoing chairman of Lloyd's, was in Christchurch, and still may be, over the past few days, and toured the area yesterday, complete with a hard hat, walking amongst the wreckage, and was clearly amazed by what he saw at the extent of the destruction. In the United States, Travelers, one of the largest P&C insurers in the country, said that the massive tornado outbreaks in the U.S., combined with other disasters, cost about $1.1 billion in the quarter after taxes. That marks the 3 months ending June 30th as the costliest for natural disasters in the company's history. This exceeds even the slightly over $1 billion it faced in the third quarter of 2005 when Hurricanes Katrina and Rita hit. Katrina still remains the single costliest insurance event in American history, but Travelers CEO Jay Fishman sounded the alarm about the severity and expense of the tornadoes. The loss of $634 million, $364 million, excuse me, or 88 cents a share, compares with the profit of $670 million, or $1.35 a share in the same period last year. Platinum, as we announced the other day, announced some losses in Australia and New Zealand, and now they're even scaling back their renewals in that area because they're concerned about the level of seismic activity in New Zealand. During an investor conference call yesterday, the CEO, Michael Price, revealed that Platinum had not renewed all covers with exposures to New Zealand at the July 1 renewals, a move which had meant it had also had to exit some Australian programs. The move is part of a wider strategy to reduce CAT exposures as they await the 2011 hurricane season. Scaling back in Australia is one move, alongside uncertainties such as the impact of version 11 of RMS's hurricane model. CEO Price said the full impact of the RMS model revision is still to be felt. Quote, the impact is very difficult to generalize, and we've seen from client data that it varies a lot from region to region as well as the level of attachment points. So everybody's holding their breath to see how this is going to play out during the hurricane season with the January 1 renewals. More fallout from the quakes. Vince McClenahan, widely regarded as a potential successor to QBE boss Frank O'Halloran, stepped down today. There was a restructuring of the group's Australian and Asia Pacific business. Mr. McClenahan, who's been with QBE for 27 years and was a key lieutenant to O'Halloran, had been speculated widely to be a possible successor. According to QBE's statement today, the firms decided to split the group's Australia and Asia Pacific functions. The company said under the new structure, the role of Australia Asia Pacific, a CEO, is no longer necessary. Mr. McClenahan, the current CEO in this role, supports the changes and has decided to leave QBE and pursue other interests. In a statement, Frank O'Halloran said, it's disappointing to lose a loyal executive like Vince. I wish him well for the future. And this sort of snuck in under the radar screen, but there's a $285 million insured loss already because of hailstorms in Colorado and Wyoming. This is a result of hailstorms on July 19th. In Colorado, about 17,000 auto claims and 13,000 homeowner claims have already been filed. Hailstorms have been particularly prevalent in Wyoming and Colorado, according to the Rocky Mountain Insurance Information Association, and about 50,000 home insurance claims have been filed in the past 2 weeks in those two states. Well, the Financial Services Authority has hit Willis's UK subsidiary with a £6.89 million fine for failings in its anti-bribery and corruption systems. This is the biggest fine imposed by the FSA to date for failings in relation to financial crime systems. The fine would have been 30% higher had the broker not cooperated with the FSA and agreed to settle at an early stage of the investigation. The fine relates to payments made by Willis Limited between 2005 and 2009 to overseas third parties who assisted the broker in winning and retaining business, primarily in high-risk jurisdictions. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.